Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad is now the chairman of sovereign wealth fund Khazanah Nasional. This is after its MD Tan Sri Azman Mokhtar and the other board members offered to resign en masse last week. The other new members of the board are Economic Affairs Minister Dato Sri Asmin Ali, Council of Eminent Persons member Tan Sri Muhammad Hassan Merican, former Central Bank Deputy Governor Dr. Sukhdev Singh, and Goh Cheng Yin, who chairs Maybank Asset Management Group. The appointments are effective immediately. However, the managing director will be appointed at a later date. Khazanah's board handed in their resignations last week in the biggest shake-up at state-linked firms since GE14. The government is looking at imposing new restrictions on car imports to create a level playing field for national car makers. PM Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad says the move would be justified as Malaysia also needs to fulfill certain criteria when exporting its cars, such as the Euro 5 standard in Europe. Mahathir adds that previous administrations' alleged failure to monitor the industry had resulted in Proton losing market share. This was because it allowed any foreign brands to enter the Malaysian market, putting Proton at a disadvantage as it is not able to compete with other car manufacturers. This and the alleged deferment of a 1.1 billion ringgit R&D grant was the reason for the car makers' deterioration. MAA President Dato Aisyah Ahmad, however, believes that restricting the imports of foreign vehicles is regressive and against the spirit of the automotive market liberalisation. Proton is no longer owned by the government, she says. Everybody should get the same treatment. Bursa Malaysia CEO Dato Sri Tajuddin Atan expects the Malaysian capital market to stay resilient in a new Malaysia. This is thanks to strong economic fundamentals and the new government's approach towards strengthening transparency and accountability, as well as the principles of good public governance. He adds that given time and with greater clarity, the changes will boost investor confidence and provide the exchange with new growth opportunities for the future. The bourse operator announced its first half FY18 report card today, with net profit improving 5% to 122 million ringgit, as it recorded its highest ever half-year operating revenue of 279.1 million ringgit. Bursa also saw its highest recorded average trading value for securities markets on market trades of 2.7 billion ringgit since its listing in 2005. It declared a first interim dividend of 14 cents per share and a special dividend of 8 cents apiece. The MOF has stressed that there is no real loss suffered by the EPF after Pakatan Harapan took over the administration. This is after the pension fund saw a decline of some 6 billion ringgit in investment value in 10 public-listed companies, including Cahaya Mata Sarawak, Telekom Malaysia and Maybank a month after GE14. The ministry says the fluctuations caused in the stock market are unrealized paper gains or losses. Therefore, the development does not directly affect the distribution of the EPF's annual dividend. This is because it is the EPF's principle to declare dividends from net and real profit. The MOF adds that the current value of shares is still higher than the book value for the EPF's entire domestic equity portfolio. More than 4 years since the disappearance of Malaysian Airlines Flight MH370, the missing Boeing 777 remains one of the world's biggest aviation mysteries. In releasing a much-anticipated report today, lead investigator Dato Kok Soo Chon said the jetliner's controls were likely manually and therefore deliberately steered off course. However, the identity of the person responsible for deviating the flight, be it the pilot or a hijacker, cannot be determined. According to Kok, there is still a lack of clear evidence on the plane's ultimate fate. He did, however, rule out other factors, including the pilot's mental state, aircraft malfunction and remote control of operation systems. But given that the wreckage has yet to be found, he said it would be presumptuous to suggest this was the end of the matter, and said this would not be a final report. Meanwhile, the Transport Ministry says it will review the safety recommendations proposed by the investigation team in order to avoid similar incidents in the future.